Today, we're going to talk about some NPCs who should have been available as followers in vanilla Skyrim. First off on the list, we have Susanna the Wicked. I mean, just look at that. There isn't a single farm in Vardenfell that can grow melons that big. I would leave Red Mountain and drag myself through the lava, creep clusters, and ash wastes for a chance to get to play put the cream in the sweet roll with that one. Calixto must be batting for the other team because you would have to be gay to waste that fine piece of ass. I mean, come on. I want to stick something in that pog, but it sure as hell isn't a knife, you feel me? I'd rather get her help to make a honey nut treat, if you know what I mean. Next on the list, Vizara. Assuming you didn't choose to destroy the Dark Brotherhood like an Imperial simp. We all know the Empire is putting estrogenic chemicals in the water in Black Marsh to turn the lizards gay and make them easier to conquer. That being said, even in a world like ours, Vizara stands as an icon of untainted masculinity. His gravelly voice more than makes up for his fruity, androgynous name. And I can forgive that he was a huge simp for Astrid because I would have wanted to get on her good side so I could tap that too, if I had been forced to stare at her in that spandex outfit all day. I'm sure she would have gotten tired of bestiality with her werewolf husband eventually. And Daddy Dagoth would have been perfectly positioned to fill the void, if you know what I mean. Now though, where's the logic in giving assassins a uniform? Shouldn't they be blending in? Todd Howard has a lot to answer for with these piss-poor plot holes, but I digress. Alright, the next one on the list will surprise you. Jarl Bolgrooth. Now, hear me out on this one. We all know Nazim is all up in his backside committing first-degree buggery, but I'm willing to let that slide, pun very much intended, because I really want him as a follower. Why, you might ask? Well, I really want Bolgrooth as a follower so I can spend all day humiliating him for being such an imperial lackey and footstool. How can a so-called Jarl take the side of the mongrel dogs of the Empire and the side of the geezer coward emperor who couldn't even beat some fruity elves against his own people? The Empire couldn't even preserve Talos worship. I know that Talos is a false god made up by mongrel outlanders, but it's the principle that counts. No empire should tell us what to do. So yeah, Bolgrooth? Talk about being bitch-made. I would punish Bolgrooth by making him carry all of my burdens, like a good mule. I'd make him squeal like a cliff racer. Want to hear another surprising choice? The next one on the list is, drumroll please, Erikur. Yeah, you heard that right, Erikur. This guy is like the Elon Musk of Skyrim. Nigga owns everything in solitude. And I really need an outlander with deep pockets to fund my research into dwarven vehicles and a Kulakan. It isn't cheap, believe me. I could use a fleet of electric carriages and ships to carry my legions all over Tamriel as we liberate the continent from the Untermensch. If you haven't noticed, I'm broke as fuck right now. Yeah. Who would have guessed that a mountain covered in ash wouldn't be the most profitable place of business, right? Shit, I can't even afford a shirt. I wanted to start farming moon sugar because that's the best cash crop supposedly, but my Khajiit slaves had to be deported to oblivion because they kept eating my product behind my back. And my Argonian slaves, I mean farm equipment, all died of corpus disease. Next up on the list we have Jari Ra. Yeah, I know, he's an Argonian, one of the lesser races, etc., etc. In an ideal world, I would turn him into a pair of boots. The point is, he tries to recruit people into his criminal conspiracy in broad daylight, right in front of the guards. That's alpha as fuck if you ask me. I can admire that, total Chad move. And trying to murder a dragon-eating messiah takes balls, so I'll give him another Chad point for that. I can admire a piece of farm equipment who doesn't settle for licking imperial boots or lifting boxes all day at the Windhelm docks. There should have been an option to spare Jari Ra and recruit him into the Blades. At worst, he would have turned into dragon food at some point, and nothing of too much value would have been lost. Next on the list is a pretty interesting character. Mazaka, or however you pronounce it. This cat spends all day, every day, inside the Solitude Lighthouse. I think he might be Skyrim's equivalent of a registered sex offender because he never, ever leaves that lighthouse. It's almost as if the Jarl banned him from being within 1,000 feet of every school in Solitude. That being said, I like crazy people, and Mazaka might be a useful follower, considering how he talks about the clash of sabers and shit like that. He was either a regular sailor or a pirate in his heyday, and I could use that expertise, or at least keep him around to sing sea shanties and drown out the screams of the outlanders in my dungeon. I could always turn him into a rug if I changed my mind. Fun fact, in the quest Lights Out, there was originally going to be an option to work with Mazaka and help the guards defeat the Black Blood Marauders. But I guess Bethesda just said fuck it and shipped the game without giving us that option because gods forbid they release a game that isn't an unfinished buggy mess on day one. Okay, drum roll please. Guess who's the next one? Well, it's Maik the Liar. Again, I know, farm equipment, yada yada. But blaming all of my crimes on him sounds funny, and I suspect he's already guilty of all kinds of fraud around Tamriel. He's the usual suspect, as you might say. Maik probably tells old ladies that he's raising funds for the orphanage in Riften so he can pocket their money and fund his skooma habit. Slippery bastard carries 3 bottles on him at all times. But we never see him working a real day job, now do we? I like to imagine that he might be a spy for the Thalmor, or a scout working for an Akaviri kingdom ahead of a future invasion. Anyway, we can all learn from his ease at lying and maybe level up our speech skill with his help. Last but not least, I have a bonus NPC who should have been a follower. Glarthir. Before you start bitching in the comments, hear me out. I know he's in Oblivion and not Skyrim, but damn, do I miss having a paranoid schizo who sees through all of the lies and tells me how the world really works. I love conspiracy theories. I want to hear Glarthir telling me about how the attack on the Crystal Tower was an inside job. How Nepos the Nose had a body double, and he's really still alive and controlling the economy and newspapers in Markarth. And how Titus Mede II is actually an Argonian imposter wearing a magical skin. Glarthir would probably have been smart enough to tell that Devaith Fear's so-called cure for Corpus was actually a way to weaken the Nerevarine and rob him of his true power. I wouldn't be surprised if I get news any day now about the Nerevarine dying suddenly of a heart attack at his new home in Akavir. Anyway, that's the list. I hope you have found this enlightening. May you continue to honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned in your heart. Peace.